So, Tim, why is it important to get a safety inspection done on your home's electrical system, and how often should you do that?
So basically, one of the common things that we get about conducting a home safety inspection is this is just a way for you to upsell. This is just a way for you to find things wrong with my home and just sell me more money and all of that. And while we may find things that are wrong with your home that may cost you money, couple things that we don't do. One thing is I want to point out that if you're at getting a mechanic and you're getting an oil change at your mechanic, right? And he's, changing the oil on your car and he notices your brakes are, about to go and not not basically really old. You're going to want him to come and tell you, "Hey, by the way, I noticed your brakes are, not good. Next time you may hit your brakes, your car may not stop." Right? You're going to want him to know he's the expert. You want him to notify you of that, right? We don't want him to just do it and then just shoot you a bill without your knowledge, of course, right?
But when it doesn't need to be done. But if it's important and it's a safety problem, then obviously, yeah, you want them to let you know that.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we do is on every job we go to, my guys have a basically right on their iPads. It's a safety inspection sheet. It's no cost. It's kind of we do it as a courtesy. Um, Basically, we check your life safety electrical equipment, your panel, basically your anything that is can structurally be easily damaged or old. Um, and we do that basically. I would recommend getting that done once a year. It helps you to get ahead of possible problems. Um, and like I said, we give you options. We don't go and do the work and then give you a bill. We don't say, "Hey, by the way, I noticed this wasn't working and now you owe me an extra 500 bucks." Like we say, "Hey, I noticed this stuff. Here's this report. I'm going to email it to you." It doesn't go anywhere else but you. It's not going to the state, not going to anyone else. Yep. Yep. And it just says, "Hey, I noticed when I was doing the work, I noticed your panel is has some rust in it and it's starting to get old. This is a price what it would cost to replace it if you so choose. But now, and okay, you're not there yet. Your panel isn't. You don't have to do it today, but something to think about. If no one did that, you would never know. Your panel is still going to eventually fail at some point, but now you can prepare it. Now you're aware of it. Now you can better prepare yourself for it. So we don't upsell to upsell. We don't sell you stuff you don't need or just to try to just take more money out of you. It's just stuff that you hire us to come in. We're the professional in your home. You want the professional to if they're looking over stuff, they want we're the experts. We should notify you if there's a problem. What you do with that is entirely up to you. We gave you the options to get it fixed. If you choose not to, it's your home.
Right. Are there some signs that you might see on your own that that might indicate that, hey, maybe I should get my electrical system looked at because I'm starting to see some problems?
So yeah, basically, if you have flickering lights, you have um, outlets not working, random outlets starting to fail, just not maybe the breaker isn't tripping, but it's just hey, this outlet's not working anymore. Lights are flickering. Um, those are kind of some of those common things of your electrical system starting to break down or there's a problem and should be addressed. I mean, obviously, if you smell like burning rubber or something like that, that's a bigger issue that needs to be addressed. But usually it comes in the form of like an outlet to stop working or so a couple lights flickering randomly on a nice sunny clear day with no reason why they're all flickering. Um, or even circuit breakers starting to trip randomly for no reason. You're not doing anything on that circuit. There's no reason for it to trip, but all of a sudden, bam, it trips. Those are all indicators that to get someone out there. I do say, you know, if your circuit breaker trips and you go downstairs and you reset it and it holds, okay, that's great. If you reset it and it trips again, and then you go down to reset it, and now it's like instantly tripping, right? It's not, you don't try to keep resetting it. It's the worst thing you can do. If it does that, you step away from it and call an electrician. Because that means there's an immediate problem, and what you're doing could cause more damage than you realize. And if it's tripping, it's most likely tripping for a reason, and it's doing its job. So the last thing you want to do is try to force it to work.
What's involved in a thorough electrical system safety inspection? You know, you mentioned checking the panel itself to make sure that that looks good. Do you check the wiring in the house as well? Is there anything else?
Yeah. So I always say most important thing is life safety. I think the single biggest issue that we see is smoke detectors or lack thereof of carbon monoxide detection. Um, Basically, we have a lot of homes that have, were built well before smoke detectors were a thing. And then we notice that there's a lot that, you know, have some smoke detectors or they're outdated or they, who knows if they'll work, right? We want to make sure that first and foremost, all your life safety devices is operational and up to date. Um, and so that if something, God forbid, does happen, you're alerted to it and you can get out safely. A couple of the other things we do is we check your electrical panel. That's probably the single most biggest point of failure for your electrical system. Um, so we want to make sure that doesn't have rust or corrosion in it, or loose connections, or any notice of anything potentially burning. Um, we check. We also do a visual inspection, right? We make sure that we don't open up things. We're not going to go into your home and start opening up all your outlets, pulling them out. Like, it's all a visual inspection, right? If we don't want us pulling them out to cause damage or cause anything like that. So, but we will test them all. We will make sure, what type of wiring do you have in your home. Oh, we look through your basement, make sure there's no what we call open splices, which is basically, two wires being spliced together, but it's not in a box. It's not protected, right? Those can potentially cause fires, or any dangers like that. A lot of it is, looking for fire hazards is the main thing of the safety inspection. Um, we want to prevent fires. We want to make sure we get ahead of fires, and we want to give you the pricing options if we do find anything, so you're aware of it. A lot of it's just important for us to make sure that your home is in tip-top shape, and we like to offer that as a courtesy for coming out. So yeah, so basically, a reason why we don't take things apart or open up your switches and like check them that way is the problem is once we touch something, we kind of own it, right? So if we touch something and it's a problem, right, or it's old wiring or it needs to be fixed, you know, we kind of can't just like shove it back in the wall and forget we ever saw it, right? Yeah, we can tell you about it, and then but if the customer is like, you know, I don't want to fix that or I don't have the money for that, it kind of puts us in, in this hard place that now we've already messed with it, that kind of we have to do something about it, right? So that's why we stress we do visual inspections, so we're not actually opening up things or disconnecting things, and it's just a visual inspection as well. Obviously, we can't see everything, but we make sure to hit the most vulnerable parts of your system.
Okay. And what are some tips, that homeowners might be able to follow to, maintain some basic electrical safety in between inspections? Obviously, you mentioned when a circuit breaker trips, and you reset it and it trips again, not to like keep trying to make that circuit work when it doesn't want to. Are there other tips like that homeowners should follow on their own in between safety inspections?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things is I think I've heard the term like and he knows enough to be dangerous, right? Like I think especially with growing up with my father and his father before him, they were taught, okay, change an outlet, change a switch, putting up a light, like you know they're like self-taught how to do that. I think homeowners should really know their know-how, and if they definitely don't feel comfortable with changing out an outlet or a plug, even they shouldn't touch it, right? They can end up causing more problems than solving them. And actually, what happens is it actually, if you try to fix something and maybe you make a mistake or you don't know what you're doing, and then you eventually call an electrician out, it's a lot harder for us to figure out what the problem is because we have to figure out what you did first and then figure out what the original problem was. So I think just kind of in the state of Massachusetts, as a homeowner, you are allowed to do your own electrical work in your own home or properties that you own. But I do think you have to know what you can do and what's kind of like, okay, I need to step away from this. I know calling an electrician out is not the cheapest thing to do, but just for safety's sake, I think it's the best thing to do. I mean, and then also, realize the signs, right? You got flickering lights, you've got things not working, it's kind of in the back burner of like, okay, I'm just gonna plug my toaster into another outlet. This works. And kind of you forget about that. You just don't use it, right? And it gets left on the, it kind of gets left alone, right? Those are things that it's indicating you that there was a problem and, not doing anything about it kind of can make sure that there's a bigger problem. Sure, it could be something very simple, but it's much better to have something simple, quick, and easy, relatively cheap to fix than kind of letting it sit there for 6 months. And then next thing you know, all your outlets are failing and you got much more problems, right? So, kind of just, if you notice something going wrong, it's perfectly fine to call an electrician to have them take a look, right? Or do a safety inspection, um, even if you're uncomfortable about it. Like I said, ours, with their, if we're coming out to your home to do any type of work, like install a heat pump, we do it at no cost. But is also a service that we can provide for you if you have us coming out to your home to provide other services. It's something that we will do as well.